welcome to another episode of Another Guitar Show. This is going to be an extension of the blues episode we did before. We just love it, we can't get away from it, and we're going to learn how to play in all the keys, to play the blues and what we learned previously in all 12 keys. Sounds daunting, I know, but actually it's not as tricky as it sounds. So do you want to open up with a little bluesy jam?
Let's do it, yeah.
Jammy blues.
So I'm going to choose the key of C, and that's what we're going to be focusing on.
Okay.
Starting here, and you're going to play some lead over the top for us?
I can lead it. I can lead the way.
What position are you going to be in, just so that we can all kind of see?
Let's go with what we used last week, which was position 1.
Okay.
Nice and simple. Alrighty.
Every status quo
bluesy
song ever was better than that. So yes, we are using this power chord shape, and this
it's the same one from last week.
Yes, essentially, but we're moving it up to the 8th fret and the 10th fret. I think one of my notes is out of tune a little bit, but importantly we're using the 1, 4 and 5 again, but we're in the key of C now. The brilliant thing about when we start playing all of these with power chords, so all the rhythm of a blues or any 12-bar blues song, is that the 1, 4 and 5, so the 3 chords that we need, are always in the same proportion to each other. The 1, if it's on string 6, the 4 is directly underneath, and then the 5 for the turnaround is 2 frets over from the 4. So 1, 4 and 5 at 8th fret and 10th fret, string down.
Same fret, string down for the 4.
And 2 frets over. This was something that we covered in our theory episode and also kind of ear training about chords in a key, the 1, 4 and 5 being the 3 major chords that are always in any key. In this case, C, F and G. The same C, F and G that you would learn in the open chord position. But this way of playing them, we can play this very common kind of blues riff, the blues shuffle, the same one that we played down here. We're playing it the same proportions, but just sliding it up. It's like my first finger is acting as a capo. Now this is a very kind of, it's an awkward position for your fingers to be in. And again, if you're looking at this kind of thing, but especially if you play electric guitar but you struggle with bar chords still, we sort of, it's the same principles that cross over to here. So if you were still struggling with getting an F bar chord ringing out, keeping your elbow into your side, keeping your wrist kind of straight but just at a slight angle, and then fingers 2, 3 and 4 right on the tips. That's all the same principles that we're using here. The only bar chord principle that does it, there are other ones for sure, but one of the most important ones is this first finger doesn't have to be straight to that first fret. It can actually be over a little bit more, which makes it easier for us to overcompensate for the fact that our little finger is not as big and not as strong as the other fingers. So it's a little bit further over like that. And that would do our kind of blues, no matter which chords we were on. And we'll also do the more
rocky thing,
kind of more Chuck Berry rock and roll. And all I did there was, rather than play a shuffle rhythm, which has this bounce to it, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, just keep them all even and speed them up a bit. So rather than, we would have, I'm gonna write a little letter, gonna mail it to my local DJ. We have every 12-bar blues song ever with those two kind of combinations, really. And we can even play them in any key, but let's get used to playing them here first of all. A weird technique needs to happen, or a new technique for many people. Changing between the kind of C to the F and changing between string 6 and string 4, because we need to kind of slide, and rather than kind of lift our fingers off like this. And when we move from, you know, the 1 chord to the 5 chord, that first finger is really kind of sliding down rather than lifting off and placing here. It's never lifting off of the strings really. We're going 1, 4 and 5, and it's a very awkward motion between that, you know, 1 to 4, because it's the same position but they're just sliding down, so a bit more care and attention is needed there. And on the lead side of things, what were we? Minor pentatonic in 8th fret position.
Yep.
Do you want to just give people same kind of string bending as in the previous episode?
Yeah, the same old stuff, and leaving some space for whatever notes you're playing to kind of land and make an impact. So
like a melody, like a singer would need to breathe. Melodies tend to sound good with pauses in them, and with some notes longer, some notes shorter.
So I'm not going to sit. So some notes longer, some shorter, and then gaps in between the phrases. And then just loads of bending on the top 3
Well,
strings.
phrasing aplenty. So
Yeah,
string bending, slides, and vibrato. If only there was a full half-an-hour episode that sort of explained all of those things. We did that about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It was our kind of phrasing special of Another Guitar Show. All that sort of lyrical quality that you're hearing from Thomas when he plays the minor pentatonic scale, the same one that everyone would learn as kind of their first scale. But if it sounds kind of basic, kind of plinky-plonky, kind of just not musical or not lyrical, then that would be the episode to check out, because we looked at all of that really, really in depth. Let's give that a bit of a jam first, and then we'll look at how to change key, basically, I would say. Yeah, so I'm going to slow this one down a little bit from the original demo so people can see what we're doing and see what Thomas is doing. Let's do 2 rounds of that 12-bar blues, and I'll start with a 4 counting, and then we can join it together. So, 2, 3, 4. Again, ending on a 7th chord, the C7. Just to finish us off, let's look at how to change key. Changing key. So Marty McFly said that Johnny Be Good is a blues riff in B, and he was actually talking nonsense. It's actually in the key of B flat, which is a very un-guitar friendly key, and I believe that's why the guy that sort of worked on that movie said, he's an 80s player, so I think he'd play this in B. And tune down half a step, probably. Yeah. I think that's what they were doing. But we were in C, so this is my power chord in C, and the riff I was playing before. If we move that down by 1 fret and then 1 fret again, we're at the 6th fret and the 8th fret. It's a little bit more of a stretch already. And again, we need to keep that elbow in, keep that first finger on this kind of angle to be able to play this at all. And I remember when I was first learning, to be honest, I always found it more comfortable to kind of use my middle finger to play that one rather than my third, because my third finger's always been a little weaker, and there's nothing kind of wrong with that. It's just not the way I would primarily choose to teach it and pass it on. I would teach it like that. And of course, if we make that to a straight rhythm, and so it means rather than this rhythm, we would have this rhythm. And that little finger's just going down the ones like it was in the blues a second ago, but we can often learn this with the more even 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're making sure it lifts off after one hit. So same riff but moved down. There's our 12-bar blues in the key of B flat, which is not easy. I mean, if we were thinking, okay, we've got to strum that, and if we wanted to strum it in other positions, we'd be kind of down here, you know, and B flat, you know, not fun. And this suddenly becomes a way that we can play anything. What other keys or famous kind of songs do you commonly teach to your students, Thomas, that are kind of like, ooh, this is we wouldn't normally play this with open chords?
The worst one is probably F.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the one that catches you out because we've got this big clunky just off the open. But of course, the stretch is the biggest down
Yeah, the
here.
stretch would be hard down there. A famous song that kind of puts that 12 frets up, but then varies the riff to the common. You name that riff? I'm going to keep playing it till he gets it.
Is it Led Zeppelin?
It's not Led Zeppelin.
You're just making that up.
They're basically the two songs that I always wanted to play when I was like 8 years old.
What are they?
Johnny B. Good, and that one is Status Quo and Caroline.
Ah.
And also, I think it's Stop the Rock by Apollo 440. Stop the rock, can't stop the rock, can't. But also, for teaching purposes, that is a lot higher than any of these type of riffs that we would normally learn. Therefore, it's an awful lot easier to play. Students could actually reach that little finger fret, as opposed to down there. That's kind of crazy. I don't think I can do that.
No,
but that is a tough stretch. And any higher, but of course, it's not only a couple of bands. This is kind of what most kind of riffs are based upon, and then it's only slight tweaks to these riffs, from this one that we covered in the previous episode, or kind of that, a hop, step, and a jump.
It's the same rhythm, isn't it? It's just straight eights.
You can just hear that we've got that underneath it. That's.
It's just that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Moving literally that one. Moving that one down a string.
Yeah, just like if you just change the exact fingering of it but keep the rhythm,
absolutely,
you get endless amounts of riffs.
And the open chords are still commonly used. It's not like people want progression. You want to get better in your playing. It's not like we always use this one when we're playing a harder song. Stevie Ray Vaughan plays it in E, and he's suddenly jumping all over the fretboard, and it's faster, and it's using other stuff. So, but all of this kind of brings on our playing. So we've got the key of C, 1 4 5, key of B flat, 1 4 5.
Same movement.
Key of F would be up at 13th fret, and that would be one to kind of be stretching a little bit more, because we can. But what if our one chord and our first chord was on string 5? So let's say we wanted to play in the key of F, but we were here. Essentially the same riff. how do we know where our 1, 4 and 5 are? How do I know where our other chords are in this key? It's the same pattern as we had before, but sort of like reversed. I think of it like an L shape.
Yeah.
This would be our 1 and this would be our 4. So this is a string down and 2 frets down. So this is 6 fret. And then the 5 chord is at 8th fret, but wherever we would be, this is directly below the 1. So 1, 4, 5. Shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. Twist and 1, 1, 4, 4, 5. You know, same principles happening even as the open chords. Along with these, same riff works. But not easy to change between them. Even you can hear that sometimes I'm doing it better than others. In context of the song, you can get away with a lot of that, but surely that ain't easy to do. It's a real slide. And also, I'm making sure that I'm muting string 6 with the underside of my first finger when we're on this 5th string root note power chord. And also I'm actually muting all 6 strings so that I don't have to do this using the giant finger that we talked about, the Paul Gilbert style giant finger. So I can actually strum all 6 strings and we can forget about this right hand. Without the muting, it sounds really bad. Oh yeah. Say you've a very un-guitar friendly key, like we said, A flat was very un-guitar friendly. E flat, you know, let's do a 12-bar blues in E, no problem.
Oh yeah.
Beginner friendly, rock and roll. Let's do a blues in E flat, and beginners would be like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Clever beginners would think, ooh, maybe I could tune my guitar down half a step. And you could.
You could, technically.
But you don't have to, because we could just think, okay, our E flat chord, one place to play that is here, which is the 6th fret. That's our power chord. And I'd be thinking that my 4 chord is here, and my 5 chord is here, and you just run that. What would you be thinking on the lead side of things, Thomas?
Well, we could go with the same thing if we wanted to play the minor pentatonic shape.
Absolutely, really difficult. You'd be at 12th fret for E, and then 11th fret for E flat.
Very hard, isn't it?
Really difficult stuff. I mean, the only thing is, you'd be surprised how different it looks, and when you suddenly
it does
hear,
when you're used to one position.
Absolutely, it's a great thing to challenge yourselves with. So let's finish this up with a round of a 12-bar blues in E flat. And that will finish us up for today, and hopefully that will inspire you to try out the blues and learn these different keys, and then you can apply them to whatever style of music you want to go off and learn after that. Let's take it away in 2, 3, 4. Thank you very much for watching. You'll find more helpful links in the description of this video, links to other helpful lessons, a write-up of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, this is another guitar show, your free 30-minute guitar lesson coming at you live every Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.